Hello, my divine family. Welcome to Spiritual Bloom, where we bloom within our consciousness, with your spiritual guide and twin flame coach Neha. In today's episode, we will be talking about a topic which many people might not believe, and some of them might believe, but then it's okay. It depends upon you whether to believe it or not. It's my duty to bring forward this topic. So it's about that twin flames, do they really give birth to a divine child? So we'll explore this topic. What is the mystery behind this? Does it really happen? So, the twin flame journey, it was not just always about romance, right? I told you. And many spiritual traditions or esoteric wisdom and mystical teachings have spoken of a sacred creation known as the divine child. But this child is not always a physical child. Sometimes it is a new consciousness, a new spiritual reality, a living expression of divine love created through the union of twin flames. Now, the concept of divine child appears across countless spiritual traditions. In ancient Egypt, it was Horus. In Christianity, it was Christ. In Hindu traditions, it appeared through many divine incarnations born from sacred unions. In mythology, the divine child represents the birth of higher consciousness into the world. It symbolizes hope after darkness, transformation after suffering, and light emerging from chaos. In twin flame teachings, the divine child is often understood as the sacred creation born from the union of divine masculine and divine feminine energies. This can manifest in three different ways. Firstly, it may be an actual child conceived by twin flame. Secondly, it may be a shared mission, purpose, or creation that actually impacts humanity. And thirdly, it may be the birth of a new spiritual self within each twin. The most important thing to understand is that divine child is ultimately an energy. It is the manifestation of unconditional love becoming real in this physical world. Now we know that the twin flame journey brings many challenges. Fears, illusion, false identity. People, they go through separation. Now why all these things happens? This happens because the divine child cannot be born from wounded consciousness. Now if physically also, if a twin flame, they come into union and give birth to a divine child, so the quality of the divine child will depend on the parents. Now if both the parents are healed, the divine child will not carry a wounded consciousness, meaning they will not carry any burdens of the generations which their parents were carrying till now. It means they have healed, that is wiped out, and the divine child will have a clean slate. A clean slate to work on their karmas, a clean slate to work on their mission and purpose, because a divine child is also sent with a purpose. That's why it takes a lot of time and a lot of hurdles for a divine child to actually manifest into the 3D and be born as a child. Many things, many forces, they try to separate the twin flame so that they don't come into union. Because when they come into union, it is assured that a divine child will be born out of their union. And when such divine child are born, it just does not raise the vibration of the earth, but that divine child also contributes to big soul missions that is supposed to be accomplished. That's why the divine child is something very special and needs to be protected. And because of that, many twin flames find it very difficult to come into union, because just as much as the divine forces protects the union, similarly the dark forces are also at play to stop the union. The dark forces don't want the divine child to be born. Now this you might find it very funny, but it is true. They don't want the divine child to come into this world. That's why they have to go through so many tests and trials just to come into union. Do you know, there is a truth that when a twin flame gets intimate, their intimacy actually raises the vibration of the earth. That union, that intimacy is very powerful. Two people, two souls, both souls, their kundalini are awakened, and those two souls are getting intimate. So just imagine the energy, the vibration during that intimacy. And when they give birth to someone who is a divine, so you can imagine the weight of the blessings of the divine mission that the child carries. So these energies of divine masculine and divine feminine exist within every human being. You know that regardless of gender. And you also know that the twin flame connection acts like a mirror. So the divine child is born when love evolves beyond personal desires and becomes a force of service, healing and transformation for this world. Meaning, the child comes to contribute, to provide healing, to provide transformation to this earth. That's why it's so important for both the masculine and feminine to heal themselves before they actually come into union, because that frequency has to match. And if that frequency does not match, how will the divine feminine conceive that child? To conceive that child also, she should have that frequency. It's not easy to conceive a divine child in your womb. There will be a lot of challenges. Who knows, it might not be an easy birth process also. Maybe the mother has to go through a lot of tests and trials. Maybe her body will give up, shut down. These are tests. If your vibration is high, if your body is healthy, then only, the divine child can be conceived. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Just imagine a divine force in your womb. Do you think it is possible for a normal human being to face such higher energies? It's not, especially if you are not ascended, if you have not done your work properly. If you are in lower vibration, lower frequency, don't expect that you'll come into union and you'll have a divine child. You won't. You really have to raise your energy, your frequency, and not just spiritually, physically also. They have to be physically fit. That's why they say they come into self-love. Take care of yourself. Why? You have a soul mission. And those divine feminine and masculines who are chosen to give birth to a divine child, actual divine child, their soul mission is more hard. Because if the parents' frequency don't match, how will they give birth to a child? So these things are not to be laughed at or you make jokes about it. It's not funny. It's actually happening. It happens. And only the twin who has come into union or actually given birth to such children, they know what they have been through just to have that one child in their life. So, many twin flames, they sense the divine child energy long before they actually understand what is happening. Some of the common signs are that there is increased creativity. Suddenly you feel inspired to create, write books, create a music, create a business of your own, make any healing programs, do art. You feel as if something wants to be born through you. You feel a strong sense of purpose. You stop focusing exclusively on union or reunion. Instead, your attention shifts towards your mission. You start asking yourself that how can I serve the earth? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Why am I here and what do I need to contribute? You find a deep inner peace. Even if your twin flame is not physically present, you begin experiencing profound calmness. The obsession fades, your trust towards this journey increases, you no longer feel incomplete, and you have a shared spiritual growth. Both twin begins evolving simultaneously through telepathic experiences, through synchronicities, so the connection starts feeling less chaotic and more sacred. And you also feel that a new version of yourself is emerging. You feel like your old identity is dying. Old karmic relationships fall away. Old patterns, they dissolve. And completely new self begins to emerge. This is often the strongest indication that the divine child consciousness is being born within you. Some spiritual traditions teach that the twin flames may eventually conceive a child carrying unique spiritual gifts, which is true. Many people in the twin flame community believe such children arrive with heightened sensitivity, wisdom, empathy, and intuitive abilities. However, it is important that you don't romanticize this idea too much, because not every twin flame union results in a physical child. And having a child is not a proof of a twin flame connection. The deeper meaning of divine child goes far beyond biology. The true miracle is the birth of higher consciousness. Whether or not a physical child is involved, the sacred purpose remains the same: to bring more love, healing, and awakening into this world. So, the true purpose of divine child is what? The divine child represents humanity's next evolution. It is the merging of love and wisdom, spirit and matter, masculine and feminine. So when twin flames awaken, they become living bridges between these worlds. Their purpose is not merely personal happiness. Their purpose is contribution to the Mother Earth. The divine child is the energy of creation that flows through them. It may become a movement, a healing practice, a book, a vision, a community, or simply a transformed way of living that inspires everyone they encounter. The divine child is love made visible, visible through your conscious decisions. It is evidence that the wounds of separation can become the gifts of awakening. So if you are on this journey, remember that your connection is not only about finding another person. It is about discovering your higher self, facing your challenges, facing your lessons, maybe preparing you for the birth of something sacred. And when two souls remember the divine truth of who they really are, the greatest miracle is not that the twin flame find each other. The greatest miracle is what they create together. And perhaps that creation is the divine child. Now that divine child can be a physical child, or birthing something, or contributing to the Mother Earth through your art, your creation, your healing abilities. So this is not a myth when it comes to divine child. Divine child actually exists. For some twin flames, it is a consciousness, higher consciousness, through which they give birth to art, give birth to their soul mission, help and contribute the Mother Earth. Whereas for other twin flames, it is actual birthing and conceiving a divine child who will in the future raise the vibration of the earth and contribute to this planet. So if you really like this episode on twin flames give birth to divine child. Do like, share and subscribe and comment. For any kind of personal guidance, you can WhatsApp or email me. My contact details have been given in the description box. I thank you all for liking, commenting and supporting my channel. Keep on supporting me so that I can provide more wisdom, more help and support to you all in this journey. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you again in another episode.